Hello and welcome to Pat Can Cook, and today I am making white chicken chili. I'm actually going to submit this video when it's completed and the recipe to Global Food Market. They're located on Kirkwood Road, and I actually posted another blog, two actual blogs, regarding my shopping spree at Global Market last week, along with my assessment of hot sauce that I learned from Global Food Market. And today I just want to show you a couple of the items that I'm putting into my chili. They are a product of Mexico, and they make salsa verde, green sauce, and green hot sauces from the tomatillos. So that is it. I wanted to preempt my video today showing you that my products are from the Global Food Market. And today I'm going to make a white chili using navy beans and a smoked chicken that I made a couple days ago that I'm going to debone and put in here. And some of the ingredients that I'm going to use today. Okay, so my vegetables are ready. I have cleaned my potato and my onion. Now, as far as my carrot goes, I don't shave the outside of the carrot off, usually ever, unless it's gotten gnarly. There's a lot of nutrients in the carrot skin. Also in my potato, if I wasn't making white chili, I would have left the skin on that if I was putting it into a soup or a stew. So I'm going to cut my carrot in half. I'm going to cut strips because I want my vegetables to be small. I don't want my vegetables to be real hunky. Sometimes when I make some stews and other things, I like my my vegetables to be really large because I like a bite of a vegetable. But to me, when you're making the white chicken chili, you want your bites to be equivalent to the chili or the bean that you're putting in your chili. So I'm going to cut these pretty thin. I think you see how I'm doing that. And again, if you cut it on the round side, it's going to wobble on you, so you want to make sure it's flat. It just makes your life a little easier. Okay. So I'm going to bundle all these together. And I'm going to cut them pretty small. Always keep your hands away from the blade as much as possible. The closer you get to your hand, the slower you want to get, until you get to a point to where you can just go ahead and mince them up without your fingers in the way. Okay, so there's your carrots. Same goes for the celery. I don't want my celery to be super big chunks. So I'm going to slice into them. And with any of my recipes, if you don't want to use a particular item, don't put it in. That's kind of the art of cooking. You can put in what you like and don't put in what you don't like. Okay, so again, I'm going to make these very small because I don't want big old chunks. Now potatoes will probably, after this is cooked as long as it's going to cook, will probably disappear into the broth, because this does cook 2 or 3 hours. Now for the onion, now I've shown on a video how to slice an onion. You can always go to my Pat Cancook YouTube cooking channel and watch all of my videos. But as you can see, it's very simple and it doesn't take hardly any time at all when you cut an onion the way I'm cutting it. Goes very fast. And all the pieces are uniform. You don't have to worry about big old chunks here and little chunks there and medium chunks. It's all in there. Okay, so I'm going to put this into my chili. Now for my potato, do the same thing. Turn it in half because now it's stable, it's flat. Okay, turn that on its side. You're going to have to hold those pieces. If you don't hold them, it's going to all pop up on you, like that. See how it holds on to that? Okay, those are ready to mince. Those are ready. And that's ready. Okay, I'm going to take half this group. I have pretty small hands. Just keep your thumb and have your thumb guide the food into the blade when you get closer to it. Okay, so I'm going to put that into my chili. Now I'm going to use a half of a green pepper. Rinse that off. It's just to give it a little flavor. However you want to cut up your green pepper, it's alright with me. Now, this is the meat. You want to cut that, get that out of there. Okay, let's gather them all up. I start chopping into them. Again, watch out for your thumb. Just mince them up. Drop one there. Okay, now you can gather up your food with your knife blade and put it right into your hand. Okay, like that. That's the beauty of a knife. That went right into my chili. Looks like I forgot one. Now tomatillos, I'm going to peel the skin off. When you're making green chilies, green chili verde, homemade verde sauce, you You want to blanch these, but I'm not going to blanch them today. I'm just going to cut the bottom and cut a little round circle around the top there to get the core out, like that. It's not a green tomato. You can look up tomatillos on the internet. I believe they derive from Mexico, but it's what they use to make verde sauce, green chili sauce, whatever you want to call it. Chop these up. And of course, the more you chop, the more mince they get. And you can tell I don't hold my knife a lot on the black handle. I don't tend to have a lot of power sometimes, unless I get down on the blade. Kind of a bad habit I have. You should actually hold your knife with the handle. I have very small hands, which I think tends to make me do that so that I have more power. So as you can see, I'm just cutting into these, keep shushing them into the middle. There's my word again, shush. Okay, I'm going to put this into my chili. And my cilantro. I'm going to take it, cut the bottoms off. Now I like cilantro. Some people don't. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful spice. You can have it. Somebody told me the other day that they put it in their smoothie with pineapples. That sounds very different. So again, this is so aromatic and so lovely. I'm going to chop this up as little as I can. Okay. And again, I'm going to scoop it up into my hand. Into my chili. Okay, so there it is. We're going to stir it up. And like I told you, my beans have already soaked overnight. I put them in here with about 3 inches of water over the top of the beans. And it looks like I added more water from when I started, but I did not. All the vegetables made that rise. Okay, so now for seasonings. So this morning I'm going to put some chili powder in there. That's a heaping tablespoon. 1, 2. Okay. I have some ham bouillon. And again, I use the Orrington Farms because it has no MSG in it. And it is not super salty. It is salty, but it's not super salty. So today I'm going to use the ham flavored. That's a heaping tablespoon. Another heaping tablespoon. And another heaping tablespoon. Alright, then I'm going to use some ground cumin. Now, a lot of people think that chili powder is what makes chili tastes like chili, and that's not true. Some people may not know, but ground cumin, if you open up the bottle and smell it, it smells just like chili. Okay, so I'm going to use a tablespoon And another tablespoon. Okay. I'm going to use a level tablespoon of granulated garlic. Almost out of, I usually grind my own pepper, so I'm going to use a little less than a tablespoon of pepper. And right now I'm not going to add any more salt to it. I'm going to wait to see how this tastes. Now, granted, it's supposed to be white, okay? You can keep the chili powder out of it. You can see it's red. But I like the chili powder in it. So it would be Snow White if I didn't put the chili powder in it. But I like it in there. Again, it's white chili because you're using chicken instead of beef. Or any other sort of meat. And now we're just going to cook this on medium heat. We are going to cover the chili, and once it starts to boil on medium heat, we're going to turn it down to low and simmer it for a couple hours. After that, I'm going to put the peeled chicken into my dish, and I'm going to cook it probably another half hour to an hour, depending on how the beans are tasting, if they're still hard. And again, you can use canned beans if you want to speed this process up. I don't typically use canned beans for chilies and such. I do make some soups and stews and stuff with canned beans. But whenever I make like my New Year's bean soup, I always use fresh beans, dried beans. Okay, now the only way to debone a chicken is to just dive in and start ripping it apart, okay? So I always wear gloves. I buy these plastic gloves and I go through them a lot. Okay, that's the thigh, the legs, the wings, and the breast. Okay, so I keep my trash can to my right because I'm right-handed. This is the backbone, and there's, believe it or not, there's a lot of meat on the backbone. And I do not put the skin in my soup or my chili. And I try to be very careful to pick through every bone so that people don't get bones in their mouth. So I'm going to take the skin off those. So as you can see, I have a bowl to my right, trash can to my right, and I'm just going to debone the entire chicken. Like I said, I smoked this chicken a few days ago. You can freeze your chickens, and whenever you're going to want some meat for a soup or a chili or even burritos or tacos, you'll already have your chicken finished, it's cooked, throw it in the freezer. You can even go to the grocery store or to Sam's and purchase a rotisserie chicken. This one here is smoked, which will be perfect for my chili. And I'm just going to continue to debone this, and you'll see at the end that I have a lot of chicken to put inside my chili, which again, because it's smoked, it'll give it a really robust flavor. So I'm going to continue to do that, and I'll show you how much chicken I have when I'm done. So as you can see, my chili's on low. It's been cooking for a little bit more than an hour. And yes, that's on low, so I'm actually going to turn my burner to be a half burner here so that it doesn't boil so high. And I'm actually going to taste one of my beans to see how chewy they are. Because I'm not sure if they're actually ready for my meat to go in or not. Actually, they are. Okay, so I'm going to add my pulled chicken from my whole chicken. And that was one whole chicken. Stir that up. Okay, now the smokiness from that chicken will continue to cook in there. And since I just tasted this, it isn't very salty at all. So I'm going to add a little bit of my Celtic sea salt. I'd say this is probably going to be about a tablespoon, something like that. Stir that up. It tastes very good, by the way. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to continue to cook that for about a half an hour, and we'll be back. Well, the chili is cooking, it's boiling, and we're about ready to add some of the instant corn masa flour. Now this is a cornmeal flour. You make corn tortillas, sopas, I think that's how you pronounce that. And what I've taken is a half a cup. Alright, I'm going to add, this is almost a cup of water, so I'm going to add just a little bit at a time. And always make sure when you're mixing any kind of flour and water that you use cold water. Okay, if you use hot water, it just gets lumpy. Okay, so I'm going to mash that. And we're making a paste. I'm just going to add a little bit more. So I'd say I used probably 3/4 of a cup of water. Okay, so there's my paste. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to my chili. And of course, remember that before you add any thickening agent to a gravy or whatever, that it has to be boiling. Okay? Our chili is boiling, and now I'm going to add some of this cornmeal flour. And I may not add it all. I'm going to see how thick it gets. Okay, so I'm going to add about half of it. I'm going to stir that up. The reason I'm doing this is twofold. One, I don't want my chili to be like soup, so I want it to have a nice thick consistency. The other is that the cornmeal actually gives it a really wonderful Mexican flavor. of the corn. So that's almost thick enough. I might just want it a little bit thicker. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I will. I'll use it all. Okay, so it was a half a cup of the corn flour added, and about 3/4 of a cup of water. Stir that well. And this is ready to serve. You can serve this with tortillas, cornbread, whatever you like. That is a nice thick chili. Perfect for eating. And as for me, I'm serving mine up with a little sour cream and a little salsa, and I'm ready to eat it. I sure hope you enjoy this recipe for Pat Can Cook, and I encourage you to look at some of my other videos and subscribe to my YouTube Pat Can Cook videos channel. And thank you, and have a wonderful day.